Tonight on Greater Boston, there's been a lot of talk about Pennsylvania Senate candidate John Fetterman's debate performance on Tuesday and the lingering effects his stroke is having on his ability to communicate. So what does that say about how people view disabilities in politics and in life? And could voter discomfort in Pennsylvania lead to Republican Senate control in D.C.? Plus, I talk with Nightshade Noodle Bar chef and owner Rachel Miller about her creative fusions, how she moved from a Mississippi truck stop to Massachusetts on a whim, and of course, I have to taste for myself why it's the latest restaurant to earn a 5-star rating from the Boston Globe. Why has there been so much attention of late on the Pennsylvania Senate race? Well, first, it's the Democrats' best chance of flipping a Republican seat and keeping the balance of power in the Senate. Second, because TV's Dr. Mehmet Oz from New Jersey is the Republican candidate in Pennsylvania. And now more recently, because of the increasing focus on Democratic candidate John Fetterman's stroke 5 months ago and the lingering effects. But should those limitations, which most doctors say are temporary, but most Americans don't fully understand, determine an outcome? Fetterman's struggles have been clear at times, particularly in this week's debate, when at times he stumbled over words, repeated phrases, and paused at length. All that caused there to be little attention to what was actually being said, including Oz's response on abortion rights.
I don't want the federal government involved with that at all. I want women, doctors, local political leaders, letting the democracy that's always allowed our nation to thrive, to put the best ideas forward so states can decide for themselves.
Local political leaders. And if he wins and Mitch McConnell once again becomes Senate Majority Leader, he's already told us several times it'll be just like 2016 all over again, with the GOP ready and willing to stand in the way of major nominations from Joe Biden, especially any Supreme Court picks.
I think it's highly unlikely. In fact, no, I don't think either party, if it were different from the president, would confirm a Supreme Court nominee in the middle of an election.
The stakes could not be higher. I'm joined now by Dr. Jill Bolte Taylor, a neurologist whose 2008 TED Talk about her own severe stroke experience has been seen by nearly 28 million people, and whose piece on John Fetterman's recovery process, What Everyone Should Know About the Brain's Ability to Heal, appeared in the New York Times this week. You should read it. Doctor, it's good to see you. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. And I would just like to clarify, I'm not an MD neurologist. I'm a neuroanatomist scientist.
That's good enough for me. What was your reaction to seeing Fetterman the other night?
You know, it really, as soon as I knew that we were on a very short timetable, that's going to put the brain under a stress pressure. And when he's already having and has admitted to and been very transparent that he's having auditory processing problems, then he had to hear a question, he had to read the question, he had to read the response that Dr. Oz had given, and then he had to jumble that together to figure out, well, what is an appropriate response? And I just really don't feel like we worked well with his brain to get a good performance.
You know, you wrote in the New York Times piece that we should marvel at his recovery, which I did. But you're a doctor. I'm an outside observer. I'm not a voter in Pennsylvania. And it seems to me that what we should expect of them is maybe to marvel at his recovery, but also to consider whether or not they believe, based on what they saw, he's fit for office. That's fair, is it not?
I think that's very fair, but I don't think the debate is the only opportunity for us to observe what Mr. Fetterman's brain is doing and how it's processing information. He's given several one-on-one interviews where he has had right on display a lot of appropriate information processing and cognition. So I think it's one thing to put it all on the debate. Well, how many debates will he be doing in the Senate? Maybe many, but I think most of his time is going to be spent doing skill sets that he has already put on display with other interviews where there wasn't this format of rush sense of urgency.
You know, most voters will not have an opportunity to get a tutorial, but can you explain for a minute exactly what he's experiencing and what his prospects for recovery are, including what you mentioned a minute ago? When you say difficulty in auditory processing, what does that actually mean?
So our brain is filled with all of these cells, and every every ability we have is dependent on cells to perform that function. So I can speak language and you can understand language because we each have those cells performing well. And the language system is very complex, where we can not just speak and understand when someone speaks, but we can read, we can write, we can imagine words inside of our brain, we can have motor control and output as we type. We also, parts of the brain are for motor control. Mr. Fetterman's motor control was just fine, and we know that stroke in certain region of one hemisphere will offer paralysis on the other side of the body. So that was working fine. He could speak fine. When we look at watch some of the other interviews, he's chatting and having normal conversation. Well, that's a complex action inside of the brain. He still has his sense of humor. That's cells inside of the brain. So we need to look at what is the man still doing instead of this focus on this one problem area where information comes in, it kind of drops for me, when I experienced it, it felt like it dropped into a little canyon, and then there was a pregnant pause for me to attach the meaning to that sound, and then I could understand.
And that's why you said a minute ago that being bombarded with sort of rapid fire questions is actually the worst kind of circumstance for him.
Oh, as soon as I turned on it on the debate and immediately said, and you have 2 minutes to answer, I thought, oh my gosh. I mean, imagine what a stressful situation any debate is for any brain, much less a brain that has auditory processing information problems.
You know, some of the negative reaction to Lieutenant Governor Fetterman obviously is based on politics and cruelty. And a good example is this pathetic ad from a Trump PAC trashing both the president and Mr. Fetterman. Here it is.
The worst border crisis in American history. The worst crime wave in decades. The threat of nuclear annihilation. Our economy collapsing. Joe Biden and John Fetterman aren't up to these challenges. Biden is stumbling around, and Fetterman just isn't right.
Our economy is dumb as hell.
The Eagles are so much better than the Eagles.
Biden and Fetterman, liberal, clueless, weak.
Just isn't right, says the Trump PAC. But, you know, the one place I'll take issue with you, this is not a private citizen. And I have to say, I think the one mistake he made was he was not terribly transparent. Yes, he released some statement earlier on from his cardiologist, not his doctors here, and he never released his medical records. All we've gotten is a letter from his PCP, his primary care physician, saying he's able and he's fit to serve. If you're in this kind of circumstance, and I respect people's privacy if they choose to stay out of the limelight, he could have undercut a lot of the criticism with more transparency. Could he not have?
You know, I think that's rather a ridiculous argument, because if the general public had access to anybody's medical record and you don't understand medical jargon, what are you going to learn from that? And any normal person who's going to view brain scans, what are you going to get from that? It's really only going to fuel the fodder. And I think we all know that to be true. And I think what is really important is that if his physicians sign off on him and they declare that he has been through neural examinations in order to see how he's processing, but really, Jim, the proof is in the man. And I encourage everybody to watch an interview that was done on September 15th with Alex Wagner, where you can tell the man is there, the man is thinking, the man is laughing. He even has the part of his brain that remembers that he's supposed to follow the social norm of criticizing Dr. Oz. I mean, you can tell it's a matter of do we look at what the man's brain can do, or do we just really wave all of this flag about this problem, this one problem that he has transparently spoken about.
Well, you know, I have to say, I love being told my positions are ridiculous, by the way. I should say I'm used to that. But I have to say, the reality is that's an argument that Donald Trump could make for not releasing his medical records. We rely upon people like you to explain that which we wouldn't understand on the document. But putting that aside, here's one person who agreed with you. The Democratic candidate and likely next governor of Massachusetts was on the radio with us today. Here's what Maura Healey had to say about this situation.
His progress has been remarkable. So that really bothered me. Mehmet Oz, it's just, he's kind of one of these TV charlatans who, he's just playing to a crowd. And, he said things that were offensive. I think that, hopefully the voters in Pennsylvania will recognize the substance that Fetterman brings to this, because he would be a terrific senator for the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
You know, Jill Bolte Taylor, is it possible something good comes from this? I don't even mean politically. I mean, I assume he's an inspiration to people who see he had the courage to do this, and also maybe provides a bit of an education for people like me who really didn't understand this until the other night. Is that possible?
Oh, I think you're spot on, and I think that's why you have me speaking to you today, because you care about education of the public. And
you're trying to atone for what you said before? Is that what you're doing now? I'm kidding. Go ahead, keep going. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I think this is an opportunity for stroke to be in the spotlight for us to consider, but at the same time to educate the public about, if you're managing with somebody with disability, you can focus on what they have and actually support them in their recovery, or you can really make it more difficult by being non-supportive and non-compassionate.
By the way, do you agree with most people in the neurology field who have no connection to Fetterman himself, that this is a temporary condition and that ultimately he will come out of even the effects that we saw the other night? Do you buy that?
You know, the brain is neuroplastic. It is constantly changing. Your ability to have this conversation with me and to learn, for me to be able to learn from you, that's what's going on inside of the brain. The neurons want to recover. They want to get better. And because I'm not his neurologist, or I haven't looked at his medical records, I can't tell you what his progression has been. All I can do is watch the interviews and say, I agree the debate was a debacle, but we didn't set him up for success. Yeah. And I think that if people really want to understand how he is thinking and what is the truth, then we can put him on display in a better way.
Well, if he had released those medical records, maybe you could have responded to that. Jill Bolte Taylor, it's great to have you. I really appreciate your thoughts. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Next up, the latest in our series spotlighting the restaurants that get 5-star reviews from the Boston Globe. Lynn's Nightshade Noodle Bar left one hell of an impression on Globe food critic Deborah First, who wrote, "I am still marveling over the food with the friend I've shared it with, as well as the couple at the table to my right. They're here celebrating a birthday. To my left, it's an anniversary. This is a wonderful place to come with someone you love when both of you love food. What better praise could there be, really?" Nightshade has 7 to 14 course tasting menus of Vietnamese and French-inspired dishes, with everything from sea urchin and beluga caviar to bone marrow banh mi, and a revolving door of other options. Nightshade Noodle Bar chef and owner Rachel Miller joined me just yesterday. Rachel, it's great to see you.
Great to see you.
Can we go back in history a little bit? I hope I get this right. I'm thinking about when we first spoke. You were a teenager, if I remember correctly, working in a truck stop donut shop in Mississippi. Is that, did I get all the elements? I did get them all right?
Right, yeah.
I can't believe I remembered. So how did you get from there to Boston, for starters? What happened?
Well, my father lived in Mississippi, and he owned that donut shop.
Oh, I didn't remember that.
And it was at the only stoplight in town at the time. And that was my very, very first kitchen gig. I just did an overnight shift with him making donuts for truck drivers.
But how do you get from a truck stop in Mississippi to Boston?
Well, my mother lived in Norfolk, Virginia. There's a Chinatown bus, and basically a friend of mine whose name was Destiny, funny enough, she walked up to me one day and she's like, "Let's get out of here. You want to go to Boston?" And I was like, "Sure."
And that was it?
That was it. We got Chinatown bus tickets and just came up, got jobs.
Okay, and one of the jobs you had over the years you were in Boston was with people like Ken Oranger at Clio, I think, right?
Yes.
And you did a bunch of that stuff. And then ultimately you go from Boston to Lynn. How did that move happen? That was like 5 or 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
How'd that
about
happen?
7 years ago now. I was going through a breakup.
And I say, I'm breaking up, so I'll go to Lynn?
Yeah, well, I was looking for a place, and a friend called out of the blue and was like, well, I do have this room available. It's in Lynn. And I was like, cool, I'm sold. I'll be there.
So if that friend lived in Salem, you would have been in Salem? Is that?
Sure, yeah, I would have been wherever.
Had you ever been to Lynn before?
No.
Okay,
Never.
so you start from what I recall, you start a pop-up and you do some meals in people's homes.
Right.
And then from what I recall from our prior conversation, didn't the city help you in some ways to transition from that form of your business to actually owning the restaurant?
Yes.
How? So how'd that happen?
The city is very instrumental. I actually got a loan through the EDIC, the Economic Development Industrial Council, and they were very helpful with all the steps of that process. And those loans are mostly for like minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, those with lower income looking to open a business, and have gone through all the steps and basically like proven that they are able to do so.
And that wouldn't so this wouldn't have happened were it not for the city's intervention here?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I wasn't in a position to get to go directly to the SBA.
You know, when I first met you, I think you opened right before the pandemic. Is that not right?
5 months.
And then I was at your place for the first time. Unlike so many people who've sat there who do what you do, who had a miserable time during the pandemic, from what I've read, you actually prospered. You grew. How do you explain that? Why do you think that is?
I think a lot of it had to do with so much practice via the pop-up. We did a lot of takeout pop-ups, so I already had like a portfolio of dishes that I knew would travel, that were already costed out. I already knew how to package them. There wasn't really a whole lot of, we didn't have to waste any time trying to think about how to deliver the product.
And one of the things I loved, I didn't even know it till I got there, you required vaccination. One of very few, like Pagu and Kenya, in very few places took a chance because it upset a lot of people, right?
Yeah, it did.
Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that? Why are you laughing? It upset a lot of people.
It upset a lot of people, yeah. And we rocked the boat big time with that. I was completely unaware of how much that would, how much friction that might cause. But it was very short-lived. I did it to protect the staff. Like, even though we were in the shutdown, people, we had the patio open, guests still had to come inside to use the restroom, and they still, we had to accommodate some people being inside, and most of my staff at the time was middle-aged women and older, and until recently, that's been the majority of the staff at Nightshade is just a totally different age group.
Got it.
That I was, it's like,
I love it.
Parents.
Okay, let's do a little food and then we'll keep talking for a second. So let's start over there. Can I start over there?
Yes, please.
What is that thing?
This is
it okay? Is it foul if I just take some?
Oh, no, please.
Okay, so what is it?
This is our cabbage salad. This is shaved cabbage with green apple and mint. And
what's that brown stuff on top?
Crispy shallots.
Fabulous. Really, really good. And is there more in that thing that you're not telling me about?
On the bottom there is barbecued maitake mushrooms. So we use make a oyster sauce based barbecue, and buttermilk maple nak cham.
And you're a tasting menu place now, right?
Yeah, we've evolved into that.
Why'd you do that?
I needed to make sure that we hit a certain check average per seat in order to survive. The pandemic was so expensive and we lost a ton of money just like everybody, and I didn't have any footing before the shutdown. I was only open for 5 months, and we definitely didn't open in a very secure position, much like most restaurants.
Were you scared at that time? Were you, I mean, even though it turned out it worked, you were petrified that this wasn't going to last, right, after you finally had your own place?
Definitely, yeah.
How'd you get through that part of it?
Luckily, my staff had a lot of faith at the time, and they kept showing up every day and giving their all, and were very invested in that. I basically was at a point where I was just showing up for them and just kept doing this for them, and our teamwork just really...
Okay, I don't even know what to do next. I assume I'm supposed to... That's a homemade potato chip or no?
No.
Okay, so I'm supposed to
We're not
pick up a potato chip, and I assume dip it in this thing?
Yes.
What is the thing I'm going to dip it in?
We call it egg spuma, which is a word that we just made up.
And what is it in reality?
It's essentially like an egg salad puree that we aerate, which has since deflated a little bit, but it's basically all of the traditional accompaniments with a caviar service, like an old school caviar service, boiled egg, shallots, chives, whole 9 yards. And
they serve caviar at that truck stop in Mississippi, or they didn't? They didn't think so. Okay, so I assume I do this. Whoops. I do this, and then the caviar is the next. Oh, you put it. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'll help you out here.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You put it on top.
Yes.
And then I just pop this thing in, correct?
Yep.
In toto? Okay, hold on a second. Oh my God. That is unbelievable.
Thank you.
So this would be part, excuse me for chewing while I'm talking to you, but no option. This would be part of either a 7 or a 12 or 14 course tasting menu. Give us a sample of what other kinds of things one might get. This is really unbelievable. Go ahead.
Thank you. Every single tasting gets this. We do, I probably have like 23 dishes on the menu right now.
Well, pick 2 that really stand out, 2 or 3 that you really care about.
Okay. One of them is, we call it the lobster glacé.
What's that?
And it is, we get local lobsters from Marblehead, one of our fishermen, and we poach those claws and tails separately. We make a nice broth with the bodies. We infuse that with smoked vanilla beans, which we smoke in-house. And then we make this lovely, like, aromatic lobster broth. We make a butter sauce with it, which is the glacé. And it gets served in a little ice cream dish similar to this, but it's clear crystal. It gets garnished with chili and like a smoked vanilla chili vinaigrette. And then we use the same broth to make like a foam, so it's sort of like a lobster cappuccino kind of situation.
Yeah, when I came to your place, I asked one of the servers, "Where's Rachel?" And they laughed and said, "In the kitchen." Obviously, I'm guessing this being here with me is like the longest break you've had from work since you opened. I mean, it probably is, right?
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is all you do. This is what you do.
This is what I do.
This is what you do. Well, it's fine. And I mean, you've also opened, I think, next door, the Sin City, as in Lynn, City of Sin, Superette, right? And a friend of mine who has been there, and these are her words, not mine, they sell from caviar to condoms. Is that is an accurate description of what? I mean, what is it? What do you do? What is it?
Well, I wanted a convenience store because we really need that on the block, and I live across the street. I've lived in the neighborhood for 7 years.
Which is downtown Lynn, I should say.
Downtown Lynn, yeah. And we needed another convenience store that just had different offerings than the others, and I wanted to sell the Nightshade items that we already have. So we do some of our things for retail. We have caviar that we brand and sell through there. We also sell like diapers and pacifiers and all kinds of stuff.
You know, I think the Senator Crichton, is that how you say his name?
Yes.
Was here the other night on question 4, on the side of preserving the law that allows undocumented people to have licenses. But he's not the only elected official I've spoken to from Lynn. And quite often, because you're about the only person I know in Lynn, I brought you up. The revitalization of downtown, every elected official with whom I spoke said you were central to, I mean, in a really positive way. I mean, the downtown of Lynn, from when you moved there to even now, just 6 or 7 years later, is a dramatically different kind of thing, is it not?
It is, yeah. The street that I live on and have both of my businesses on, 2 of the buildings were boarded up, abandoned when I got there. Just, you know, trash on the streets, very dark, gloomy.
Totally different picture,
Nothing.
right?
Yeah, totally different
So
picture.
are you all Lynn all the time? If you do, I mean, you've done 2 things so far. If you do a third, or it's all Lynn all the time, right? I mean, that's you?
At least that's where I'm at right now. I think if an opportunity comes up that would be worth me not being at Nightshade as often as I am right now, then it's worth exploring. But so far, no.
Before you go, that looks like a cup of water. I mean, is that right? So what happens? I'm not supposed to drink it, am I?
No.
What am I supposed to do?
These are little coin towels they're like for camping and traveling.
It's a towel?
Yes, it's a towel.
And you drop it in the water?
Yes.
And
we
what
serve
happens?
this turns into.
Oh my God!
Yeah, you just pick it up
and you pull it out,
apart.
and you wipe your hands from the caviar and the egg, whatever the hell it is, thing.
Yes, and any shellfish. A lot of our food is like you eat with your hands, and it is a little messy. And this is just on the table with most of the dishes.
Well, I'm thrilled for your success. I'm thrilled for the 5-star rating. Do you mind doing that one more time before we go?
Oh, not at all.
And people should go. It's great. It's a great place, and you're spectacular. Thank you. It's great to see you, Rachel.
Thank you. It's great to see you as well.
Nightshade Noodle Bar, excuse me, and Lynn. You can look forward to me talking with my mouth full again next week when our series on the Globe's 5-star restaurants continues with Ostra. That's it for tonight. Please come back tomorrow for Talking Politics. Adam Riley and his panel will take up some last-minute moves Governor Baker is making in his final months in office, plus neutral, nonpartisan analysis of ballot questions 3 and 4 on alcohol licensing and driver's licenses for immigrants without legal status. That and more tomorrow at 7. I'll be back next week. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget Ukraine.
Well, you have been responding to our call for questions in recent weeks, so we're going to try to get to as many of your questions as we can in short order. Laura Bennett from Westport asks, why is there a particular kind of rock in Massachusetts known as pudding stone? Well, pudding stone is a type of sedimentary rock known as a conglomerate, which means there's a bunch of different gravel-sized kind of stones in there which are stuck together with sediment. It's like a mishmash. Now, when European settlers first came here, they saw this rock and it reminded them of their favorite dessert from home, fruit pudding. Now, of course, English pudding is different than American pudding. If you've ever seen the Great British Baking Show, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and the fact that a lot of British desserts kind of look like rocks. Local tip: if you want to see a really weird poem about pudding stone, head to Fitzgerald Park in Mission Hill in Boston. Alice Fastov from Dedham, Massachusetts wants to know, what is the difference between spider webs and cobwebs? Well, there are some spiders, like, say, a black widow, that make these dimensional, irregular webs, and those are known as cobwebs. But in general, a cobweb simply refers to a spider web that has been abandoned. Now, that cob in cobweb comes from an old Middle English word, cop, which just means spider. Susan from Boston asks, why do wheels on cars in TV commercials seem to be spinning backwards? Well, Susan, what's happening with the camera is it's actually taking just a bunch of pictures, and then your brain is assembling those pictures to say, I see motion. Now, when the speed is just right, here's what's going on. You got a car wheel. Let's say there's a spot you're noticing on that car wheel right there at 12 o'clock. The next picture in the camera, that spot is maybe at 11 o'clock. The next picture in the camera, that spot is maybe at 10 o'clock. So what your brain is interpreting is that the wheel is actually moving backwards. Incidentally, the same thing can happen just in person. Your eye and your brain kind of work the same way as the camera. Not exactly, but if the speed is right, you'll notice it right there in front of you. Well, that's all we have time for today. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and perhaps most importantly, let me know what you are curious about, because hey, I might just look into it for you. I'm Edgar B. Herwick III. Stay curious out there.
The Curiosity Desk is sponsored by Emerson College, inspiring curiosity and creative expression in all of us.